aisle. You'll be called upon to legibly print your name and address, and you'll have up to 5 minutes to address the council. Please state your name and address and the item number or numbers in which you wish to speak, and then you may begin.
Jackie Nix, 706 Running Brook Circle. May I pass things out?
Sure.
I am here before you to speak on 2 items tonight. First is resolution number 1 regarding the contract for services for the library. First, I commend you for working toward creating a more formalized agreement with the library. While I haven't seen the actual contract be able to comment on specific language, I do want to reiterate my concerns regarding financial management in our library. As you enter into a contract for services, I urge you not only to be concerned about financial transparency moving forward, I also want you to look at it retrospectively. This information I shared with you now, I had also emailed everyone previously last week. Before you, you see P&L reports for the last 4 years for the library. And I've listed them by line item so you can have easy comparison from year to year. I have many questions, but first and foremost is why there was $160,000 excess in fiscal year 24 for an entity that's supposed to work on zero net budget. And then there was a $64,000 excess last year. Even as the board came to you asking for more money, you know, they asked you for $60,000 to help with salary, yet they had a $64,000 excess. So I find that very interesting. Where's that money now? There's no line item where that money carries over into the following budget year. I am observing the city literally paying more and getting less. I urge you to take this into consideration as you enter into the contract for services, and I also very much urge you to investigate past actions and seek redress on our behalf. My second item is for resolution number 12. First of all, I question how it can be practically enforced to keep restaurant patrons in the area highlighted in Exhibit A. And if people are going to overflow into the greater venue, how is that fair to other downtown restaurants if they can't have access to outdoor seating? Will the restaurant build a wall to contain the customers? Is that going to be an unsightly wall? Is the city going to be paying for some kind of barrier to keep the customers, contained? All in all, I think that there's more details to work out before you make that vote, because there's just little tiny details that need to get worked out. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
John Lee Finnegan, 211 Deer Trace. I'm speaking on number 12. As you are all aware, I spoke about it before and how I said this just it isn't going to fit down there. I still believe it's Waldo's because WCB Auburn is the one that went before the HPC. In fact, I've actually got, or have not got, their architectural plans for that area and where they were going to cut out the wall, et cetera, to have the bar. When I first went to the HPC in August of 2023, this was the conceptual plan, and you can see that on the website. But anyway, I even complained about there, because I said, I don't think that area is going to be big enough for it. But I said I liked the greenery and the soothingness. I thought it was going to be a respite place where people could go with their lunch, or maybe take their lunch and then have, of course, they talked about the big screen. It wasn't going to be the 12 TVs that are up there. And so I was against it because I didn't think it was going to quite fit, but I liked how it looked. Well, then I've gone to the HBC and I've seen, and I've now, they wouldn't tell me what the place was going to be, because they said it was a non-disclosure agreement. It was for economic development. I'm quite sure that's what it's going to be, Waldo's, because they need a liquor license, and I don't think that deli that's coming in is going to need a liquor license. I just think that area, and I'm not against a Waldo's, I just don't think it should be there. As I've told you before, the quaintness of downtown is what makes the downtown so special. This is going to change the whole feel of it. And I agree with Jackie. It was a question I was going to ask. You know, you said you're going to have partitions. What's going to prevent people from flowing in, and I call it the venue, where we have the chairs? And there's 100 chairs there and tables that we've provided. We spent almost $4 million for that outside area, and we're doing it for a restaurant, basically. We're giving a sports bar, if that's what it's going to be, their outdoor venue. I mean, are you going to allow liquor in the venue part, or is it just going to be that part? I just don't feel that this fits with downtown. I'm also questioning why this is going into that area, and I wonder how many maybe local entities are also involved, and maybe silent partners, et cetera. And I just think that this needs to have, needs to be blocked, especially with the liquor license. Waldo's says chicken and beer, but it has a full bar. In fact, it didn't show it on the, but it didn't show the outdoor bar, that they're gonna cut in the wall and then have that sliding door glass thing come down. So I just think that you need to rethink that. Really, how are you going to police people how they drink? I mean, are they going to be allowed to go out into the venue? I mean, if you're going to allow them, and that's not going to be part of their, their establishment, but it's a continuation of sort of, how are you going to prevent that? And also, I'm wondering why all of a sudden, because when you listen to Waldo's ads, it talks about, come see our 12 television sets. Well, golly, isn't that amazing? There's 12 television sets in the venue. So anyway, I'm just, as you can tell, I'm very flustered by this, because I just don't think this is what we need downtown. When I read about the deli, I said that, in fact, I'd said, that's great. That's what I'm thinking of. People can go get a sandwich or iced tea or whatever and go out there. And by the way, again, I shared, I'm not against anybody drinking. I mean, I've been there, done that. But I just really want you to think about it, and don't be pressured, please. And as I said, I think there's other entities, local entities, that are involved in this and are looking to make some money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I was coming in here and I wasn't going to say anything, but then I sat back and I listened to what they had to say about that venue, the same venue they talking about building the wall now and having it outdoors. This is the same conversation that happened about a year and a half ago when Mr. Edwards came over here and tried to do the same thing for Adrian. And it wasn't this city council, but the previous city council, along with the mayor, contested it. But now here we go again, bringing it up with a new owner of a different venue. My thing is, if it wasn't good enough for Mr. Edwards, how is it good enough for this venue?
Mr. Chair, if I might respond to that.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Thank you. One big difference, this is a restaurant, and Adrian's is a full bar where no one under 21 is allowed. And part of the challenges back over here is the fact that there was a partnership, public-private partnership with the city and property owners. And a lot of the area is designed for it to have public accessibility. So if you're having a bar and no one under 21, then you're denying a certain group, certain age group.
But isn't that place also gonna have a full bar as well?
It will be a restaurant.
But it's gonna have a full bar. That's the point I'm trying to make. We not looking at the context of the words, but we're playing with words. They having a full bar too. So regardless of the restaurant, it's still the same thing. It's a full bar. Let's call it what it is. So how we gonna play Nick's Neal one situation and then do another to the other situation? Is it fair? Let's be honest. Let's look at it for what it is and not for being pressured by someone that wants to get this in, because fair is fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to address the council? All right, not seeing any. Mr. Mayor, do you have a report?
Yes, sir. Before I ask about point of privilege, I'd like to respond just a little bit that, you know, some bar areas, they're open traditionally 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. If council decides to move forward with this economic development, then there are a lot of controls that the city has as far as the size, the timeline, and some other provisions that can actually help make it a very, very friendly environment. But
Turn the mic just a little bit up.
there we go. I hope that's a little bit better now. We had the youth leadership in here last week, Council President, as you very much well know, because you and I helped welcome them in these chambers, and so that was why the adjustment was there as well. Also, we had the mayor of the new mayor of Greenville to come down, and so we had several different activities in here. But with your willingness, if I might have a point of privilege.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to invite Sheila Morissette and her AKA group to come up. I know they've had a very busy day with our state representatives, and might turn the microphone with soft toss over here to Councilman Jackson as well. But my good friend here, knew her father before she did.
Yes, you did. Better be careful, you're gonna tell your age in a minute, Bill. All right, to the Honorable Mayor Gillespie, to the distinguished guests, members of the Prattville City Council, to the honored guests and members of the community, good evening.
Good evening.
I am honored to stand before you on behalf of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I have a few members in the back. We are the Alpha Delta Omicron Omega chapter of Otaga County, and I ask those members to please stand briefly so that they may be recognized. But that's not why we're here tonight. We're here tonight because we are excited and proud to introduce our inaugural group of Young Leaders Institute, affectionately known as YLI. YLI girls, will y'all join me up here, please? Come on. And while they're coming, I'm gonna keep talking about them, so I won't be wasting too much time. These are young ladies, and they're made up of Prattville Junior High School. They all come from Prattville Junior High School. These young women represent the future, and we truly believe they are destined for greatness. Girls, if you'll just come around the front, and we're gonna get a picture of you. Yeah. Yes,
Pretty faces.
that's right. These are not just pretty faces, they are leaders, they're young leaders. What makes this group so special is that they are our first. Not only that, but they are already learning what leadership looks like. Today, we visited the state legislature. We learned about the legislative process, and they were sworn in by the distinguished Judge Tiffany McCord of Montgomery. Experiences that are shaping them to be confident young leaders. They are change makers. We often hear the words, "Be the change you want to see." And through YLI, these young ladies are learning that change begins with them, as it does with all of us. Change begins with us. Thank you for recognizing these young leaders and for opening the chambers to us this evening and for supporting the development of our future leaders. We are grateful, and again, thank you.
Thank you. Let's give them a hand. Don't go too far. Councilman Jackson, do you have any other comment? You have any comments you'd like to?
Well, I just want to say, these are definitely my babies. Some of them have been with me a couple years, and I'm extremely proud of the growth that we have experienced with them, and then to be selected to be a part of the sorority to come in and work with these young ladies, I think is wonderful, and we look forward to seeing other groups come in and work with us at Prattville Junior High School, because this is what we need, more community partnerships coming in and taking time. I was a part of the trip today to the legislature. I think we had 26 girls, and they had an opportunity to see how the process works, see some of our state legislators. I know Representative Lawrence and Senator Stewart provided lunch for them, but it was a great experience, and to have them be with us tonight is definitely a special privilege. And like I say, especially for me, considering these are my babies at Prattville Junior High School. But thank you for allowing them to be here and be with us tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and good comment. One little word I like to leave with the young ladies here is that no one person can do everything, but one person can make a difference. So it's the future. You are going to be some of our future leaders, so the future is yours. And I do have a token gift. Where'd Sheila go? Oh, there you are. You know, I think it's pretty close matching color.
It is, it's just like theirs.
Yeah, it's just like theirs, even though we're given like 15 minutes notice. So Don Russell and all that other. So we will have this for you and the young ladies. They have to make a second appearance here.
Okay.
So, or you got to come back again. So
We will.
Again, thank you. Thank you.
Can we get a picture?
You want-
Can we get a picture?
few of them?
Yes.
Come on, Sheila. Can I squeeze right in here?
Ladies, y'all come on. Oh, yeah, come on.
Yes. Can't pluck that many grays out, he had to.
You got two more coming. Three,
It takes a village.
yeah. And while they're coming up, I will have to say, I got a matching tie.
Yes.
I went to another area when they had their grand opening, grand ribbon cutting.
Chartering event,
Charter meeting, yes.
Ladies.
No, thank you. And I tell you, to everyone, to me, the future is bright. You know, we have a lot of challenges, and the community that we know and love is the never-ending story, but we have so many great things coming our way, and I just cannot wait for the future there. But, and again, Council President, thank you for the point of privilege. I'd just like to say, good evening, councilors. First, I want to thank North Highland Community Center for hosting the MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Parade. This parade showcases our community's commitment to unity and civic engagement and solidifies a tradition celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I want to congratulate the police and fire departments on the opening of the public safety training facility. The ribbon cutting last Wednesday was well attended and demonstrated what is possible when teamwork and collaboration come together. In so many other communities that I deal with, other mayors and councilors as well, we're very fortunate here, and I know Councilman Whaley, Council President Whaley, you recognize it, and so many others do as well. When you have your public safety team that works so well and so closely together, it's very seldom seen. And for it to work as well as it does here in Prattville, I just have to thank the leadership down for all of that. But also a big thanks to these departments for manning Classroom 1 of the Public Safety Building. They were using it as a warming station during the forecasted frigid weather. As more cold weather is on the way, please remember to prepare and protect. Look out for our people, pets, pipes, and plants. In the near future, I would like to have more conversation with council and councilors and others about warming stations and also our safer places for future needs of our community. So hopefully we can have more communication on that. But councilors, I would like to, I guess as a FYI, and please be advised that access to the public bathrooms located on the first floor of 124 West Main Street will be restricted or basically closed until further notice. These are the indoor bathrooms. Outdoor bathrooms still be open. With construction on the way, remodeling for so many different projects, the New Delhi public safety is top priority. We have been having a few challenges with some juveniles trying to attempt to have a full run of the area. There's been some challenges. I'm gonna just leave it like that. But I would like for everyone to know that we have cameras throughout. We have tag readers and also loitering in the building's front and back lobbies and hallways and restrooms are not acceptable. We want to remind everyone to please respect these facilities, and if you see something, say something. And again, outdoor public restrooms at 124 West Main will remain open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Councilors, I ask that you table Resolution 1 on the regular agenda indefinitely. I've communicated several of my concerns about the library contract to you. As we are all aware of, that we're in the second quarter of this quadrennium, of this first year, and second quarter payments have already been mailed out to our library there. But you know, the payments are already there. I believe it's in the community's best interest that our library, which is very much like our airport authority in so many different ways, it's a separate entity, but it's in these entities and our community's best interest to regroup on these contract for services. Again, the airport and the library was formed together. I guess the library did have a little different pathway. My understanding of the history of the airport, the county formed it, then they asked the county to be a partner, and then we're the sole proprietor of the library, of the airport now. Library is a little bit different. It was formed in conjunction with the city-county partnership, using some federal funds for the building. We own the property, but you know, both of these entities are an arm of the community. They're not a community initiative like so many others that we have. And so I think the contracts need to be looked at it totally separately. And to have to have a 7-page document say this is what the procedure is going to be, especially in the case of the library and the airport, where you have FAA looking at different ways and means for the airport. You have the state library board that passes down rules and regulations. I guess Councilman Jackson, to use some of your verbiage there, We don't need the city of Prattville to be big government inside of our public library.
Can
I
you
think
turn the
it's-
microphone back around there?
Okay. I think there's enough oversight already at the state and federal level when I start talking about the airport as well. But a 7-page document is just not necessary, in my opinion, when you're looking at, again, repeating myself, but I think it's worth repeating. These two entities are an extension, an arm of our community. They were formed by the county and the city in some shape, form, and fashion on that one. But councilors, if you heard me say before, I've had some good news and some bad news. And usually it's paving, Councilman Jackson, but I'm not going to, it's not about really paving this time, but I want to pass along some project updates. The library stabilization, contractors completed installing the piers last Friday. Today, the concrete footers were poured and must cure over the next 3 to 5 days. Once curing is complete, contractors begin fabricating the columns. And again, for the public here, FYI, our Prattville Public Library is closed at this time until this work is completed. Councilors, on our Court Street, or what I like to call Spillway Park 2 sidewalk and parking project, began Wednesday, and weather permitting is scheduled to be completed in late April. I spoke directly with the businesses affected by this project and informed them of the temporary construction fencing installed throughout the site to keep the work area isolated. This project will create an additional 19 angled parking spaces and a sidewalk on the west side. I'm going to repeat myself, the west side of Court Street, along in front of Spillway Park 2. But it's from Court Street, from Tickner Avenue, again on the west side. We ask everyone to be patient and cautious with crews in this area. And again, pardon our progress, pardon our noise, and pardon our dust that we're kicking up. North Highland Park, construction is underway. I was up there today. Please remember that NHP is closed and parking on Cone Street is strictly for residents of Cone Street at this time. Fairview Avenue, we're actively working to move this project forward with 44 working days left. Please remember that several weather events have slowed progress, but crews are out working. And I'm certain that we will have more updates and conversations with SDAC and Sane Associates within the next month or so. And on the radar, we have 2 sidewalk projects planned for Main Street during spring and summer. One will make the connection in front of the gas station from Rideouts, Prattville Chapel to the Animal Clinic at Pratt Street. The other will provide sidewalks from Geneva Street to the existing sidewalk near Shady Oak. To give a landmark, the gas station that's in question there is in between the animal hospital. But a lot of folks don't quite realize that Pratt Street is on both sides of Main Street there. And so a part of this is Pratt Street, but then also the gas station seems to have multiple points of entry or egress, ingress. So we're really going to be cleaning a lot of that area up. Our city engineer has been in contact with the proprietor of the gas station. And so hopefully that will move along and make that area safer and easier to maneuver. And I will say that the other leg of a project there where we created a turning lane and then also added a sidewalk, I've seen that be utilized many, many times. And it's also, I think, been very beneficial to the traffic, especially on Fridays, as we all know, traffic gets a lot heavier on those. But I also would like to say that, councilors, any recommendations for adding sidewalks or making repairs in your districts are welcome and appreciated. Councilor Langley, I would like to invite you to meet with Paxton, our chief engineer, and meet on site at the library this Thursday at 8:30 to discuss a parking lot extension there, basically moving what's the existing parking lot between the community garden and the library to move it a little bit deeper toward the creek, which might add another dozen or so parking spots. But I think that could be very beneficial. As I'm very impressed with our library and the number of people that actually attend it and utilize it so much. But we also visit Maple Street to discuss the bridge area. And a lot of folks want to say, well, where is there a bridge on Maple Street? And it's a very short one, very narrow right there. It's right as you turn off of Selma Highway, right past Seagrave Price Bridge. It's very narrow there, and so we're going to look to see if there's any improvements that we can do in that without breaking the bank, so to speak. Also like to discuss the McQueen Smith Road project, and Councilor Langley, as your chair of the street committee, like to get some little insight from you on that one. But also just like to say lastly, please don't forget the Mardi Gras celebration. It kicks off Saturday, January 31st at 11 a.m. with food, arts and crafts, and vendors. The parade will roll out at 2 p.m. and will include a New Orleans-style brass band. Hope everyone will join us for the exciting event. Council President, that's the end of my report.
All right, does anybody have any questions for the mayor? Councilor Langley?
I have a quick question. Talking about the venue, Mayor Gillespie, I've had several constituents over the past 6 weeks, and I just never have gotten around to asking, where does the money for, I presume that we pay the bands, what pocket of money does that come from? And then on another note, in regards to the, I've heard that we have a manager, so to speak, for the venue at 124. I don't know if that's true, not true. Can you kind of educate us a little bit on that?
Okay. The money comes from our economic development and tourism line item, and which basically comes from our heads into beds. Which, with our hotels, we actually have two revenue sources there. One is our lodging tax. The other is our lodging fee, which that lodging fee, which is $2 a room, that goes to our parks and recs for like our softball complex that we're paying on it as well. And we do have a gentleman that is helping out with the, if you want to use the word management, but yes, management of that area.
Is he full-time, part-time?
He is not a city employee, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, so how do we pay him? Like, does he have a contract?
He does not have a contract.
Okay, so he's hourly?
Not hourly, but we pay him for his services.
Okay. So how can we find out more about that? Does that come out of the $350,000? Where does that money come from, I guess?
Which 350,000 are you speaking of?
I thought the, what'd you call it, head in bed or whatever, the
Our lodging
tourism,
tax?
yeah. I
Okay,
thought
no.
that was the 350,000.
Okay. Of course, we get a lot more than that. I do remember looking at some reports where before we had invested into the Robert Trent Jones golf area, and before that was a sewer line, and then Robert Trent Jones comes, we've got more hotels. I think we at one time were receiving a few $100,000, and now we're receiving about $2 million a year.
I think I miscommunicated. I'm under the impression that line item is 350. That's what I was talking about. I may
Okay.
be wrong.
The one in the executive department?
That the monies for the band, is that
Okay.
is that the one you're talking about? That the money for the bands come out of that line item?
If we're talking about the same
Okay,
line item, yes,
okay,
ma'am.
okay.
Like to get with you and talk about that a little bit more in detail, so there's no miscommunication on it.
Right, and so the money for this gentleman's, not salary, but to pay him, that comes out of that money as well?
If we're talking about the same line item, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Be
okay.
glad to sit down with you and have it laid out in front of us so we can talk a little more direct about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the mayor?
Yes, sir. All right, real quick. I guess with North Island, you and I talked a little bit about the email or whatever. So will we be able to get rendering of what we're looking at building at North Highland Park so that we can let the public know? You and I chatted about it.
We did.
Yeah.
And, you know, you sent out an email, and
Yeah,
like I said, we
yeah.
talked about that. If you want a direct answer from me, you know, just ask me a direct question in that for, you know, to me. But, you know, when there's several folks on a thread there, and I think I might have been copied on that one. And it's like we did talk when we had one phase, I guess maybe lack of a better terminology, the first phase of NHP, we actually had a rendering up there. And as I mentioned to you, when I was in a North Highland Community Center Park Committee meeting. I was asked about that. I said, well, it's already out there. And they said, no, it's not. And so when I left, I went out there, and yes, it was there. So it's, I'm not, what should I say, directing staff to put that out there. I'm not directing them not to put that out there. But
Yeah, I would love for it, just because, like I said, I've been questioned. Also about what we have coming. So I think, that would be, and hopefully we won't have those challenges that we had, like you mentioned previously. Also, we were talking about the contract for services. Is it possible for us to get copies of the contract for services that we already have in place with other entities, so that we can use that in order to move forward with drafting the contract for services going forward with library and whoever else we decide to work with?
no doubt about that at all.
But if we can go ahead and somehow get a copy of those contracts so that we can move forward and use that as just to take a look at it and use that as a potential guide moving forward. So you okay with that?
Yes, those are in the city clerk's office.
Okay.
Okay.
There was one other, give me 2 seconds.
I'm confused. Where can we find the rendering or the contract for North Highlands? Is it online or not online?
I don't believe we have any contracts online.
Well,
but
the renderings of,
City clerk has contracts.
right, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The renderings for the project, is that on the website?
Not aware that it is or not. I don't know that I can answer that question right now.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Now, if I may on that, I know there's a drawing for the courts. Mark, you've seen those, the blue and the drawings for the courts. We've seen those, right? Yeah, a couple years back. Right. And then, I mean, it's changed somewhat, with all the delays and, the engineering problems we've had with it. But there is a rendering, I believe is gonna come out, it may come from economic development. No? Any renderings on the park? Okay. We'll find out, but there was an old rendering sign, things have changed. So, like, we had the original rendering for the stadium, then we had the second rendering for the stadium, but there will be another one, I'm fairly certain. But there is a drawing, it shows the courts and the measurements. So, but that's where we are right now on that, so.
Yeah, because, that was, I guess, about 1.5 years ago, May of 2024. I don't know if it's changed or any of that. So that's why I was trying to see it.
Yeah, I think the location, the one thing, when I think you and I were up there, my concern, just from playing PE basketball, is shooting toward the fence line. Ball's missing, because they shoot like me, and the ball's gonna miss the entire goal and roll in someone's yard, or kid gonna run out in the street trying to chase the ball. That's why my suggestion was put the goals on the other side, facing the fence, not toward the street. The full court is far back enough, but that's the really subtle change that I can think of. But maybe the color, the texture of the courts, but that's basically what we have right now. So, but as soon as I find out more about a rendering, I'll let everybody know.
Yeah, and like I said, that's, because of course, people see the heavy equipment up there, and everybody wants to see what's going on, and I think that it's only fair.
Absolutely.
That they know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the community's excited now, so now they just want to see, what's coming. And
Absolutely.
That's only to be expected.
Yeah. All right. I'll see what I can find out.
All right, are there any other questions for the mayor?
I have one for the mayor. I know I mentioned this to you earlier and started discussing it, and I wanted to hit you up with it now before comments. Just for the record, for the constituents in District 1 have been asking some questions around striping on Northington Road and Indian Hills Road, and I was going to get with you and the city engineer to discuss that a little bit, because I know there's some in and out with the county on maybe Indian Hills Road, but I just wanted to put that out there for you to know that we'll circle back on that.
Yes, sir. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be meeting with him on Thursday. We'll talk some more on that. I do know that that was discussed, and probably, again, I got to be cautious on my words because sometimes they want to say, well, you said this, but I know, we had a transition there between our former city engineer and our current one. I know that I had talked with our former city engineer many, many times about that getting paved, so, not paved, but striped. So I need to check and see exactly who formulated the plan for our company.
I just know it had
striped.
happened before I got here.
Right.
And we had talked briefly about Northington Road while it was going on, but I wanted to get it back out in front of you again about the questions around striping, so.
Okay.
Just wanted,
Well, thank you. And Council President, if I can have just one more moment, just a little thought that has come up here is that, it's, since the area over here has been in question and some other things as well, that whenever the city was looking at buying the property over here, there was a lot of discussions with elected officials and so forth, obviously, because y'all had to approve the funding of it. But there was some expressed and implied opportunities for that building. And the expressed was that hopefully restaurants, some kind of retail, some kind of other partnerships as well. And when it comes to the implied portion of it, there's been some questions everywhere, and I brought up about bathrooms, this evening. So there are expressed and there's implied when it comes to a lot of the details of a project. And so when you talk about formulating a project, you don't always go into what I guess so many of us might think is implied, because when you start talking about bathrooms, you don't really go into all the details of exactly who's going to be cleaning them and who's going to be, how much toilet paper and, so many other little things. And all along, a restaurant was expressed for this area, and I truly believe it was expressed and implied that consumption of adult beverages was going to be a component of this. And as I was mentioning a little bit earlier, I was asked about the big difference with Adrian's, and they are a full-blown bar. This is a restaurant. Now, I will say this, is that Councilman Jackson, I have reached out to Gary Edwards a few times, phone calls and a text message. And if you can relay that, I would like to sit down and talk with him, and because we are looking for opportunities to partner with any and everybody who wants to be a partner of Gravel. So I don't know if that made any sense, but expressed and implied, it was laid out in detail before the building was bought, and I think a lot of it has been talked about as well in other timelines with the body here, council body.
Okay. Any other questions? I only had one. Do you have I know weather coming in is going to affect it. The library time frame for it to be closed, they've done the piers, they've poured the footer, and so
Yes.
now they have to do the columns. Do they have I know we have some freezing and inclement weather coming in. Do they have a somewhat time frame that we'll know how long it'll be closed?
Roughly about 3 weeks, 3 more weeks.
3 more weeks, okay.
Yes, sir.
Just wondering.
Might be quicker than that, rather err on being longer than
Depends on the
short.
weather.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
I guess we need to get this to Daniel. I know Miss Jackie Nix just passed this information. I don't know if she gave you one.
I believe she did.
Okay, yeah, and I think this is something, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. I'm just seeing it now, where she's saying that the library has received a $200,000+ surplus, $224,000 surplus over the last few years. But I think hopefully Daniel, this is something he can take a look at to, I guess, look at her numbers and see if everything's matching up. And I think if that's the case, then maybe that's something, because I know she asked if we could, not only with this contract, moving forward, but also retroactively go back and take a look. I know we don't necessarily want to punish them retroactively, but I guess we need to take a look at this information and make sure it's matching up, you know, to make sure they're doing their due diligence and making sure they're being responsible and accountable with what they're given from us.
Well, I'd like to add a comment to that for the record, is that since I've been in this role, you know, there've been some difficult challenges before me and the community as well. And I know one of the very first things, there were some cuts across the board. Fire department, the library as well. But I steadily worked with the board as we have climbed up out of that situation. And I have been informed by Mr. Burton and also Mr. Willis, before Mr. Willis passed away, is that they had some of this money, and we were talking about potential of a new library. You know, I've talked about that for many, many years, and I guess have come to the realization is that's not, a new library building is not going to happen. But talking with Mr. Burton and Mr. Willis and some other along the line is that that money could potentially be used if we were going to be building a new library, and they could use it for this or that. And so just because you have a surplus, does, I guess, you don't need to take that in a negative way. I think also if, because early on, and help me out, Council President, I think at one point in time, the mentality around here is if you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
And that's where we came up with the FDR funding to actually help show to our department heads that if you come in under budget, don't fear that you're going to lose it, but hopefully you can take that money with council guidance and everything else and use it to get a project moved forward ahead. So I'd see it in a positive way potentially, because again, I just got this. I'm just trying to give some insight that for numerous boards now, it had been talked about working with the city if we could move forward with the new structure. And so I think that's what some of that money might have been set aside for. But again, I haven't had time to research it, but that is some institutional knowledge that I think is very, very important when we start looking at some of these contracts and day-to-day operations, because there's a lot of that institutional knowledge that if you don't use it, you'll lose some of the benefit of the historians, I guess, so to speak.
And I understand that, and I guess maybe even, I understand that, and I guess even moving forward, potentially with the contract for services, that I guess, I don't know, I'm just thinking now, if there is a surplus that money can be used, maybe we need to write that into the contract for services, that if it's unused, that it could potentially be used for specific projects or specific things moving forward.
Well, if I can respond to that, you certainly can, but I go ahead and guarantee you they're going to use it because they're not going to lose it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And then that way, sometimes that's where you see waste inside of government.
Well, and that's why I say too, so I guess with this contract for services that we need to write in there, you know, if there's a $224,000 surplus, that money can only be used for certain things, so they can't just use it, or anyone can just use it for whatever they desire to use it for.
Well, I'll be glad to have more conversations with you. I do know that the State Library Board sends down a lot of do's and don'ts, and then in my opinion, my humble opinion, I guess I'm more about brick and mortar, the parking lots, the day-to-day operations, the nuts and bolts operations of the library, and not the micromanaging or the big government coming down on them. And but I will say this for the public: try to look ahead and see what might be coming our way. I never really did see this library situation coming our way. But besides the building.
All right, this time we'll move into
Thank you.
reports from council on special committees. Councilor Newman.
I have none.
Councilor Jackson? No. Councilor Merritt?
No, sir.
Councilor Stritchick? No. Councilor Langley? And I have none. All right, this time we'll hear a report on the city's, status of the city's finances from Daniel Oakley.
Yes, sir. All right, the first page in your packet is a general fund revenue report, and it shows that we received $11,378,539 for the fiscal year to date, and this represents a 0.51% increase over the same period in the prior year. The next page is the tax breakdown comparison, and it shows on the tax side that we were down 0.7% when compared to the previous December. Next three pages show the general fund expenses broken down by department, and with 25% of the fiscal year complete, we have spent 30.4% of our budgeted expenditures in the general fund. Next page is the wastewater enterprise fund income statement. The wastewater fund generated a net income from operations of $143,788 for December. Operating expenses and overall expenses are tracking under budget at 22% and 23% respectively. Next page is the sanitation enterprise fund income statement, and the sanitation fund reported a net loss of $18,337 for the month. Operating expenses are coming in at 20.7%, and overall expenses are right at 18%. Next page is the judicial special revenue fund income statement. The judicial fund generated a net income of $61,234 for December. Overall expenses are below budget at 10.9%. Next page is the gas tax special revenue fund income statement. The next four funds we only present quarterly, so this is the first time that this group is seeing it for this fiscal year. Gas tax revenues are coming in slightly higher than budget for this point in the year. The gas tax expenses during this quarter relate to closing out of the 2025 local paving project. Next page is the capital projects fund income statement. It shows that we spent roughly $4.2 million on projects and debt service through this fund in the first quarter. The primary project expenses this quarter relate to the downtown ADA sidewalks, Vista Point Park improvements, the Newton Park renovation, Spillway Park improvements, the public safety training facility, and the Project Star Outdoors. The next page is the group health fund income statement. This fund has an accumulated net income for the year of $219,772. It also has a cash balance of $516,336 at the end of December. Next page is the Parks and Recreation Income Report, and it shows that we've collected approximately 21% of our budgeted Parks and Rec income at the end of December, and that totals to $177,496 for that quarter. Next page is the bank balances report, and total of all bank balances citywide at the end of December was $44,209,372. And the last page in your packet's the accounts payable and debt balances report. It shows the total outstanding AP and debt balance citywide at the end of December was $66,901,862, while the city's non-enterprise fund debt was $36,133,860. And that is all of the reports.
Any questions for Mr. Oakley? Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, tonight we have the opportunity to create a consent agenda, and there are 7 items that we will consider for a consent agenda. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize the city attorney to affix the cost for the removal of garbage and rubbish at 175 Patrick Street. Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize the city attorney to affix the cost for the removal of garbage and rubbish at 340 Martin Luther King Drive, Jr., Chestnut Street. Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize the city attorney to affix the cost for the removal of garbage and rubbish at 839 Heather Drive. Item number 4 is a resolution to authorize the city attorney to fix the cost of demolition of the dilapidated unsafe structure at 1259 Cooper Avenue. Item number 5 is a resolution to declare the garbage and rubbish at 698 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive a public nuisance and authorize the mayor to abate and charge any incurred expenses pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. Item number 6 is a resolution to declare the garbage and rubbish at 842 Wingard Street a public nuisance and authorize the mayor to abate and charge any incurred expenses pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. And item number 7 is a resolution to surplus personal property from various departments. Do I hear a motion to create a consent agenda? Moved by Councilor Stritchett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Newman. All in favor of creating a consent agenda, please signify by raising your right hand. And the consent agenda is created unanimously. The consent agenda is now before us. Do I hear a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Merrick. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Langley. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir. I would like to say that I've had some discussion for resolution number 5 at 698 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Mr. Moore is here, and we have had some discussion with Chief and with the mayor, and he said that he's rectified this situation, and they're gonna go out tomorrow and take a look at it, and once it checks out, then there will be no further movement on this property. But I just wanted to go ahead and let that be known.
Okay, and I did have a conversation with Chief, not double checking on you, that was before I talked to you. And he said they would be back out there tomorrow to take a look at that and to see what we needed to do moving forward. Is there any other discussion on the consent agenda? All right, hearing none. All in favor of adopting the consent agenda, please signify by raising your right hand. And the consent agenda is adopted unanimously. We will now move into our regular agenda. Item number 1 on our agenda tonight is a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign a contract for services with the Otago Prattville Public Library for funding as allocated in the FY 2025-26 budget. This was held from 12/16/25. This resolution was held and is now properly before us. Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I'd like to, due to everything, I'd like to make a motion to hold this until February the 17th of 2026.
Okay, we do have a motion to hold until February 17th, 2026. Is there a second on the motion to hold?
Second.
Second by Councilor Newman. Is there any discussion on the motion to hold? All right, all in favor of holding this until February 17th, 2026, signify by raising your right hand. All right, any opposed, like sign? And any abstention? All right, this is held until February 17th. Item number 2 on the agenda tonight is an ordinance to rezone property located inside the corporate limits at 682 Covered Bridge Parkway from R5, Single Family High Density District, to O1 Office District. This was held from 12/16/25, where it was introduced, and it is now properly before us. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? Councilman Newman.
This specific area, as far as rezoning, being involved with the attending the zoning meetings and the planning meetings and so forth, I'd like to say I think that this area is probably, this specific lot is a little bit small for an O1, in my personal opinion. I've been in the meetings where it's been proposed. I've been out to the site to look at it as well. There's a larger water area behind it. I don't think it's suitable for an O1 size footprint personally. I think the parking might meet the minimum standard for an O1, but depending on the type, for example, if you had a dentist office there, maybe you might have in and out traffic, that might not be too bad, but the problem with zoning something or approving something like this is you don't know what could end up there. I think that a different type of, depending on the type of office that went into that spot, it could cause overflow traffic issues and spill out into the street and thereby cause problems on the road in front of that area, that lot. And I think that's probably the key reason that it was zoned as residential, since it was a smaller area that could be usable space for an office. So I'd like to make sure that, you know, that's brought out as my reason for looking this over.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Okay, not hearing any. All in favor of this ordinance to rezone this property signify by raising your right hand. Okay, all opposed, like sign. And it does not pass. All right, item number 3 is an ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into a lease agreement between the City of Prattville and Fountain City BMX Association Incorporated to continue to operate a BMX park located on County Road 4. This ordinance was introduced on January the 6th and is now properly before us. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? Okay, not seeing any. All in favor of the ordinance, please signify by raising your right hand. And the ordinance is adopted unanimously. Item number 4 is an ordinance to amend ordinance book 2025, page 013, to declare a temporary moratorium on permits and approvals for package stores, convenience stores, gas stations, and vape shops in the corporate limits of Prattville. This ordinance was introduced on January the 6th, 2026, and is now properly before us. Is there any discussion on this ordinance?
I would like to ask if Andrew, if you don't mind, to just explain this a little bit and from the legal standpoint of what we're doing here.
Yes, Councilor Langley, thank you. Can everyone hear me? So what this is, there is an existing moratorium that was passed in May of last year. And what we're seeing is we have existing licensees that want to transfer their license to another location. So what we're trying to do is clarify if it is the council's intent to permit that, and that would be accepted from the moratorium. So for example, if you've got an establishment at location A that then purchases location B, but in establishment A, they have a license, then they want to be able to transfer that to the new location, so.
Excuse me, Mr. Andrew.
Yeah.
So the way I understood this when we were given this amendment and it was presented to us by the finance director, this was strictly for an already licensed establishment at a particular address who wanted to sell the business to another, a purchaser or a buyer at that particular address. In order for them to buy that, they then have to turn around and reapply for license with ABC Board in order, they can't transfer the license. They have to submit their own application. So it would allow someone who was purchasing said facility at this address to sell that, and then the new owner would be allowed at that point to go ahead and apply for an ABC license at that location where it already was.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for clarifying that intent. So it's the council's intent that it will essentially stay with the existing physical location.
Yes.
Rather than transfer
Yes.
physical locations. Okay.
Physical location. So the moratorium right now is prohibiting the addition of, and so, from the way I understand it, we have a couple of service station, convenience stores, whatever, that are looking to sell from one owner to another owner. So the new owner is going to purchase and run the business in that location. But in order for them to have off-premise beer and retail wine license, they have to submit an application to ABC. And our moratorium was prohibiting them from doing that because it included new licenses as well. So it's not going to be a new license for another location. It's going to be a new license for the location that's
Existing
sold
facility.
to the new owner.
Okay. No.
Okay?
So, yeah, so long as that's understood and it's on the record now that that is the council's intent, then that's how the ordinance will apply. So,
Okay?
thank you.
Any other questions on this ordinance?
So just to restate, an existing location with an existing liquor license changes ownership, this covers that individual getting his license.
Covers the new owner, yes.
Okay.
All right. Not seeing any other questions. All in favor of this ordinance, please signify by raising your right hand. And this ordinance passes unanimously. All right, item number 5 on our agenda is a resolution to set a public hearing to pre-zone property outside the corporate limits located at Saratoga Lane and Sydney Drive South Extension, known as Glenbrook 10 to R3 Single Family Residential. Councilor Newman, will you introduce this resolution?
Sure. Whereas David L. and Diane R. Avent are the owners of the property, which is located outside the corporate limits at Saratoga Lane and Sydney Drive South Extension, known as Glenbrook 10. And whereas the owners have initiated the process to annex said property described in Attachment A into the corporate city limits of the city of Prattville. And whereas the owners have submitted a request to pre-zone said property, and whereas the owners wish to pre-zone the approximately 103.96 plus or minus acres property to R3, and whereas a public hearing on the proposed zoning was held by the City of Prattville Planning Commission on 17 April 2025 and confirmed on 15 January 2026, and whereas the Planning Commission did recommend the pre-zoning of said property as described in Attachment A to R3, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that a public hearing is set for 17 February 2026 at 6 p.m. at Prattville City Hall. So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Councilor Jackson. Is there any discussion on this? All right, hearing none. All in favor of the resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? All right, and any abstention? All right, at this point, Councilor Newman, would you read in the proposed ordinance portion?
Absolutely. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama as follows, that the zoning ordinance and map are hereby amended to pre-zone the property described as Attachment A to R3. That this proposed ordinance and a synopsis were advertised for 2 weeks in the Montgomery Advertiser, a newspaper of general circulation within the corporate limits of the City of Prattville, and that the City Council at its public hearing on 17 February 2026 at 6 p.m. considered said proposed ordinance, and that at such time and place all persons who desired had an opportunity to be heard in favor of or in opposition to such ordinance. That this ordinance is adopted under the authority of 11-52-85 of Code of Alabama 1975 as amended, and is contingent on the petitioner completing the process to annex property described in Attachment A into the City of Prattville no later than 180 days following adoption of the ordinance. All other items and provisions of the zoning ordinance not herein specifically amended shall remain in full force and effect. The amendments herein contained were considered and recommended by the City of Prattville Planning Commission on 17 April 2025 and confirmed on 15 January 2026. This ordinance shall become effective upon its passage and execution as provided by law. So moved.
All right, as a point of order, this ordinance will be held until after the public hearing, which is set, oh, I'm sorry, I need a second. Second by Councilor Jackson. As a point of order, this ordinance will be held until after the public hearing, which is set for February 17th, 2026. Item number 6 on our agenda tonight is an ordinance, petition for annexation of property outside the corporate limits located at Saratoga Lane and Sydney Drive South Extension, known as Glenbrook 10. Councilor Newman, will you introduce this ordinance?
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama, that the City of Prattville is a city with a population of over 6,000 inhabitants located in the state of Alabama. that a petition has been presented by all owners of the property located at Saratoga Lane and Sydney Drive South Extension, known as Glenbrook 10, which is contiguous to the corporate limits of the city of Prattville as now situated. That the property described in the petition sought to be annexed is as described in attachment A, that said property does not lie within the corporate limits of any other municipality, that the petition to annex said property was heard before the Planning Commission on 18 December 2025 and confirmed on 15 January 2026, that all owners as defined by 11-42-20 Code of Alabama 1975 as amended have executed said petition requesting that the property be annexed into the city of Prattville, that the city of Prattville finds that it is in the best interest of the city and its inhabitants to annex said property, that the city finds that the petition has met all the requirements of 11-42-20 through 11-42-23 Code of Alabama 1975 as amended. Be it further ordained by the City Council that the corporate limits of the city of Prattville be extended and rearranged to embrace and include the following property as described in attachment A, that such property shall become part of the corporate limits of Prattville, Alabama, upon passage and publication of this ordinance as required by law. Be it further ordained that a copy of this petition shall be filed in the office of the Judge of Probate of Watauga County, Alabama, and that this ordinance be published in the Montgomery Advertiser, a newspaper of general circulation within the corporate limits of the city of Prattville. Adopted this 20th day of January 2026. So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Councilor Jackson. As a point of order, this ordinance will be held until our next meeting, February 3rd, 2026. Councilor Merritt.
Sir President, I would like to make a motion to hold till after the pre-zoning public hearing on February 17th, 2026.
Okay. There's a motion to hold this until after the pre-zoning public hearing on February 17th, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Langley. Is there any discussion on the motion to hold? All in favor of the motion to hold till February 17th, 2026, signify by raising your right hand. All right, and this motion passes unanimously. Item number 7 is a resolution to award bid number 025-015 to Construction One Incorporated for the renovations to the third floor of 124 West Main Street building at a total cost not to exceed $513,014. Councilor Stritchick, will you introduce this resolution?
Whereas a need has been identified for renovations to the third floor of the 124 West Main Street building, and whereas specifications were drafted for said renovations to the building, and whereas 11 sealed bids were received, opened and read aloud December 17th, 2025 at 2 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall. And whereas the original lowest bidder was Rye Enterprises Incorporated, but due to a calculation error made by subcontractor of Rye Enterprises Incorporated, the bidder requested to withdraw their bid. And whereas pursuant to section 39-2-11D Code of Alabama 1975 as amended, Rye Enterprises Incorporated timely requested a withdrawal of their bid due to said calculation error, and whereas due to said bid withdrawal, Construction One Incorporated is now the lowest responsible bidder with a cost of $513,014 for said project, and whereas this budgeted expense in the Capital Projects Fund. Now therefore be resolved that the City Council, City of Prattville hereby awards bid number 025-015 to Construction One Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $513,014 for said renovation project. And said funds are approved and appropriated from fiscal 2026 budget line item Capital Projects Fund, Bank Building Renovations. Be it further resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to carry out the intent of this resolution. So moved.
All right, we do have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Councilor Merritt. Is there any discussion on this item? Not hearing any. All in favor of this resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. And resolution passes unanimously. Item number 8 is a resolution to authorize the release of funds for the purchase of one 2026 John Deere backhoe through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative, contract number 011723-JDC from Warrior Tractor and Equipment Company Incorporated for engineering at a cost not to exceed $194,895.33. Councilor Langley, will you introduce this resolution?
Yes, sir. Whereas engineering has identified a need to purchase one John Deere 410 P-tier backhoe loader, and whereas said equipment is available through Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative, contract number 011723-JDC, from Warrior Tractor and Equipment Company Incorporated at a cost not to exceed $194,895.33. And whereas this is a budgeted expense in engineering, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $194,895.33 for the purchase of said equipment are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Warrior Tractor and Equipment Company, Inc., and said funds are approved and appropriated from fiscal year 2026 budget line item engineering dash capital outlay. So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Newman. Is there any discussion on this item? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. And this resolution is adopted unanimously. Item number 9 is a resolution to authorize the release of funds for the purchase and installation of a 30 by 84 enclosed pole barn from Webb Builders Incorporated for the Parks and Recreation Department at a cost not to exceed $64,300. Councilor Strichek, will you introduce this resolution?
Whereas a need has been identified to replace a pole barn for the Parks and Recreation Department. Whereas Webb Builders Incorporated has the expertise to complete said project at a cost not to exceed $64,300. Whereas pursuant to Section 39-2-1 Code of Alabama 1975 as amended, said project is a public works project, and whereas Section 39-2-2 Code of Alabama 1975 as amended allows contracts for public works project under $100,000 to be let without bidding. Whereas this is a budget expense in Parks and Recreation, now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $64,300 for the purchase of the installation of said pole barn is hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Webb Builders Incorporated, and said funds are approved and appropriated from fiscal 2026 budget line item Parks and Recreation capital outlay. So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Langley. Is there any discussion on this resolution?
Which pole barn is this? Where is this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you. It's up there right, excuse me, right beside Matt Gray Point 2.0. It was hit by a tornado or straight winds a few years ago, but it's up there, right by the softball complex.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion? All right, not hearing any. All in favor of this resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. All right, and this resolution is adopted unanimously. Item number 10, it's a resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a construction, engineering, and inspection agreement with Krebs Engineering Incorporated for the Court Street Streetscape Improvements Project at a cost not to exceed $95,463. Councilor Langley, will you introduce this resolution?
Yes, sir. Whereas the engineering department has identified a need for construction, engineering, and inspection services for the Court Street Streetscape Improvements Project, and whereas Krebs Engineering has the expertise to provide said services at a cost not to exceed $95,463, net cost to the city $19,092.60, and whereas Section 39-2-2E1 Code of Alabama 1975 as amended allows contracts to secure services with engineers possessing a high degree of professional skill to be let without bidding. And whereas this is a budgeted expense in the Capital Projects Fund, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the mayor is hereby authorized to enter into said agreement with Krebs Engineering, Inc. for said engineering services at a cost not to exceed $95,463, net cost to the city $19,092.60, and funds are approved and appropriated from fiscal year 2026 budget line item Capital Projects Fund - Court Street Sidewalks Parking. Be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to carry out the intent of this resolution. So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Jackson. Is there any discussion on this item? Not hearing any. All in favor of this resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. And this resolution has passed unanimously. Item number 11 is a resolution to set a public hearing to rezone property located inside the corporate limits at 1114 East Main Street from R2, Single Family Residential District, to O1, Office District. Councilor Stritchick, will you introduce this resolution?
Whereas Brad Phillips and Jonas Trewick are the petitioners for the property described in attachment A, and whereas said property to be rezoned is located inside the corporate limits at 1114 East Main Street. And whereas the petitioners wish to rezone the approximate .25 acre property from R2 to 01, and whereas a public hearing on the proposed rezoning was held by the City of Prattville Planning Commission on December 18th, 2025. And whereas the Planning Commission did recommend the zoning of said property as described in attachment A be amended from R2 to 01, now therefore be resolved that by the City Council of the City of Prattville that a public hearing is set for February 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here at Prattville City Hall. So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Councilor Merrick. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Not hearing any. All in favor of resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. Oh,
I had a quick question, I'm sorry. This is our last one we looked at on the planning commission? Okay. I just want to confirm this. I'm a little confused on this one, so I just want to make sure I've got it right.
So is the question concerning setting the public hearing?
No, you're right, you're right. You're
Okay.
fine, you're fine. I'm good, Mr. Mayor, I'm good.
All right. Any other discussion on the resolution to set a public hearing? All right, all in favor of setting this resolution, signify by raising your right hand. All right, and the resolution passes unanimously. Councilor Stritchick, will you now read in the proposed ordinance?
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama, as follows, that the zoning ordinance and map are hereby amended to reclassify the property described in attachment A from R2 to 01. That is, this proposed ordinance and a synopsis were advertised for 2 weeks in the Montgomery Advertiser, a newspaper of general circulation within the corporate limits of the City of Prattville, and the City Council at its public hearing on February 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. considered said proposed ordinance, and at such time and place all persons who desired had opportunity to be heard in favor of or in opposition to such ordinance. All other items and provisions of the zoning ordinance not herein specifically amended shall remain in full force and in effect. The amendments herein contained were considered and recommended by the City of Prattville Planning Commission on December 18th, 2025. This ordinance shall be effective upon its passage and execution as provided by law. So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Jackson. As point of order, this ordinance will be held until after the public hearing, which is set for February 17th, 2026. Item number 12 is a resolution to support the restaurant development and outdoor usage at 124 West Main Street. Councilor Merrick, will you introduce this resolution?
Yes, sir. Whereas the Economic Development Department of the City of Prattville works to attract and develop economic development projects to enhance the quality of life for the citizens of the City of Prattville. And whereas the city purchased the property of 124 West Main Street with the intent to develop the space into business opportunities for the future, and whereas Economic Development Department has recruited a new prospective restaurant tenant for the 124 West Main Street Suite 120 location, and whereas the tenant has the intention of applying for a restaurant retail liquor license with the Alabama Beverage Control Board, when appropriate, for use inside the facility and in a designated outdoor area for the business as indicated in Exhibit A, and whereas the tenant requests the support of the City Council for the indoor and outdoor designated areas related to the ABC licensing to move the project forward to a binding lease, renovations of the facility, and ABC license application. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville concurs that support is offered for the restaurant development and indoor and outdoor designated areas related to the ABC licensing to move the project forward to a binding lease, renovations of the facility, and ABC license application for 124 West Main Street, Suite 120, as indicated. So moved, Mr. President.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Newman. Is there any discussion on this resolution at this time?
I have some discussion. I wish we had the illustration to put up on the screens. My issue with what we are voting on is the footprint of the outdoor area. Is that correct?
No.
No.
Right now, we are voting on the resolution to support. The footprint for the outdoor area is not, the actual footprint is, but there's going to be an ABC license that is
Correct.
applied for, and then that is when that will be official, right?
Yes, sir. So with their ABC, when the entity applies for their ABC license, that review process will come before you guys for approval. There'll be a public hearing on it, and they're gonna have to check the little box for outdoor alcohol sales. So the parameter of the outdoor serving space will be very specifically defined for the ABC board, but also for the city. So that vote will come before you guys again. However, the purpose of this resolution is just to make sure that you guys are gonna be comfortable with something like that over there before the tenant and us put money into it.
Okay, so Exhibit A, the green spot on Exhibit A, that is not, you're not asking for that to be the area for the outdoor dining?
Currently, that is the intended part of the ABC application that the restaurant would put forward.
Okay, so what we're looking at with Exhibit A is what the restaurant is going to move forward with in requesting their ABC license.
Correct, with support from you all. If it needs to be different, then that would be a discussion point.
At this time? Okay, okay.
It's not, you're not voting on an ABC license, so you're not definitively stating that. But in this support, it's a two-pronged support for restaurant development and support of the outdoor designated area as reflected in Exhibit A.
So while you're up here, you know, you and I, we met
We did.
a week and a half ago or so, and the footprint that I am seeing, and like I said, I wish that we were able to see it up on the screens, but it allows into, I don't know what we call the little bench area, you know, with the trees, but there are 3 of those, it looks like. And so this area extends all the way to almost at 6 feet from the venue, from the pole barn venue. And so when, you know, when we've been down to the venue many, many times, and people love it. And like I shared with you, Amy, my concern is we are taking the majority, except for 6 feet, on the left-hand side of the pavilion area. We're taking all of that and leasing it to this restaurant. And when we have been down there, it's just been so much fun to see the families hanging out and sitting down at the benches there. And I have a problem with designating that as an area for a private entity, when to me, this is a huge part. It's a, you know, it's a pretty decent sized area, but it's a huge part of the flow and of the feel of the venue. And like I shared with you, I would vote, and I would absolutely support going straight down through the lights, because there is a crack, not a crack, but a seam in the concrete right there. That to me is more of an organic separation, And then that way, we could have the restaurant space, but we could also still, everybody could enjoy that area to sit down and to mingle and not have to be right up under the pavilion, because doing it this way, the only open area that's not under the pavilion is really the children's area and a very small sliver going to the bathroom. And I'm not opposed to the restaurant. I'm not opposed to liquor license, within a fenced-in area. But I am opposed to taking this section and including it in a lease where you have to be a patron of that restaurant in order to utilize that.
So part of the logic from the restaurant perspective, it allows for a stack of 2 tables to be in that outdoor space. So that's the measurement of what that was. It would allow us to attach what ABC looks at as a barrier. So that would be some concrete and metal table-like structures, so they could be used from the inside, with some gates depending on where those need to be designated for flow. So that was part of the logic. And as I said before, I understand that. What we're trying to do is get to a point that we can move the project forward. If there's a discussion about a different footprint, I'm not opposed to that. This is something that's had much discussion with Chief Thompson and others of what would work and what is consistent across the city of Prattville for other outdoor restaurant venues.
Thank you for coming up and
Sure.
sharing that.
So I just wanted to ask a question. If we approve this tonight with this footprint, there is the capability to reduce that footprint in the future
Yes.
with the council if we wanted to
Yes,
do
you
that.
can. This is not, again, not an ABC license. It's not a definitive final spot. My request of you is just support for this so that we can move it to the next step. We don't want to do anything, put money in front of you all as a recommendation until we know you're supportive and comfortable with it.
And I did want to echo that. I have met as well with the economic developer and discussed this, walked this footprint, and I've actually spoken to several of the other counselors about the footprint itself a little bit to get an idea. But this footprint is something that people can still come in and out of. The main issue would be removing or leaving out of that area with alcohol in your hand. Anyone can still, it's just not shutting down usage of the area from anyone else. It's just that you can't leave that area with alcohol. That would be the main issue. So I want to make sure we think of it that way, as well as the fact that it's been discussed with the executive office and the public safety professionals. And I think it's a reasonable request to start with, at least on this footprint, for what we're doing. I don't see a major issue with it at all. I mean, it's fairly simple and fairly straightforward.
Counselor Jackson?
I guess my concern, do we have the blessing of Chief Thompson and with moving forward with this? And 2, he mentioned it, made a note, how do we prevent people from walking out with alcohol? And then 2,
Handcuffs.
and then 2, does this give the optics, and Robert can attest to this several years back where people started contacting us about an entertainment district, and does this give an appearance that the city of Prattville is promoting an entertainment district? Because we were threatened, not with our lives or anything, but they were very upset that there was even a thought that the city of Prattville may be trying to create an entertainment district. So first of all, do we have the blessing of Chief Thompson? I see him back there. So, because he's the one that's gonna have to handle and deal with all this, and the optics as well, as far as what are we doing as a city of Prattville, and how are we going to monitor people?
So I'll answer from my opinion. I'm not going to speak for Chief Thompson, but there has been discussion with Chief Thompson about this several times, and he can certainly come up and talk about that. So there will be a barricade, as I mentioned, several gates. There will be signage put up to make sure that people understand that past a certain point that alcohol is not allowed. It will be strictly enforced. And as far as the entertainment district topic, this was created to be very specific so that we would not give that appearance of a full entertainment district. This is strictly being consistent with other restaurant venues that have outdoor spaces that are perimetered, fenced, gated, whatever they may be, all over the city of Prattville. We could call 8 to 10 of them right now. So it was really a consistency factor.
And I go back, and I guess too, even with the entertainment district, so if you're right outside, No, I'm saying, so you're right outside and you'll be able to enjoy the live band and people mixing and mingling and, you know, doing their thing downtown. So that's my concern, you know. So I want your.
Chief Thompson, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm 100% against entertainment district. Right now, my officers have standing orders. They find anybody drinking at the venue to arrest them. But I do feel like if we're gonna have a restaurant, we have to treat it like we do anybody else. So if I have a gated area for that section, just like Hooters, Beef O'Brady's, other people, as long as they understand if the alcohol gets outside that perimeter, somebody's gonna lose their license, somebody's going to jail. But as far as an entertainment district, I'll fight that until I leave. Yes, sir.
But the difference in a Hooters or any of these other businesses is that they don't have a live band or a live venue with music right there.
So that's y'all's decision. My argument has been, if we're going to do it, we treat them like anybody else. If the alcohol gets outside that perimeter, then I'll move to get the license pulled. But as far as, I understand what you're saying, and again, I will fight a entertainment district until I'm relieved of my position.
So do they need to have someone working? Because I think they mentioned possibly 3 gates. Do they need to have someone out there monitoring? Do they need to have?
There will have to be some kind of system in place where people know that if you go past this point, you're breaking the law.
But we
Now,
know.
The police department cannot work alcohol-related events. That's in our policy.
But you know, and I know, once people get a little of this happy juice,
They go to jail.
you know, they ain't worried about
And
that
I ain't
gate.
worried about who they are. We've proved that in the past, so.
The way I see it, Mark, is this, and I agree with Chief, and I think back in the day, Leah's here tonight, downtown merchants worked for a entertainment district. I'm in full, complete agreement with that. However, Adrian's is open to 2 o'clock in the morning. They have an outdoor area. They're not supposed to go forward to the creek or behind other businesses. That's having to be patrolled by the police officers. So that's no different. Craft House, outdoor music in the back. They have a back gate. People can leave with that in the back gate. Apparently, you know, I look at it this way. Someone having a cold beer, watching a ball game, eating some food, isn't going to turn Prattville into Bourbon Street. Okay? I guess I have more faith in our citizens than some other people in this room do. I think we have more responsible people in this city. But if you can go to the Craft House and sit out back, or Adrian's at 1 o'clock in the morning with a cocktail and walk off with live music, how's this any different? It shouldn't be. It should be for all, not hand-picked selection who you can and cannot have this venue.
And my
so-
argument's been, if we're gonna do it, we do it, everybody's on the same page. We don't do it different for anybody else.
100%.
And we make a showcase, this is how it's supposed to be done, and everybody has to follow suit with that. But again, and I'm not afraid to say this, I will fight the entertainment district until I'm relieved of chief of police.
So-
So,
I just want to echo Counselor Stritch's comments, I agree completely. I mean, we're talking about having a restaurant with an outdoor seating area that's adjacent to a space, but we're not talking about an entertainment district. And we're also, I just want to mention that we've all of us in the city of Prattville at some point have been somewhere where there was something similar to this, where we've been able to sit down outside and have a drink, a beer, watch a game, or drink and watch a game. I don't think there's anything specific in the air in the city of Prattville that will cause us to lose our mind when we go outside and have a beer or a drink. And if we do, I got full confidence in the chief and his group can shut it down and make an example. And I would highly suggest that you not do that if you go there and have a beer or a drink.
Real careful on what we do, because we don't want the issues other surrounding cities are having.
I'm pretty confident that in other places that I've lived, and even to go back to even to adjacent cities, that mayors and chief of police kept things straight, and I have full confidence in both these individuals in this city. And I think that a small outdoor venue to have drinks is not anything that we can't handle in this city. That's my opinion. And again, we probably have people already over there that are sneaking in drinks, or spillway at events that are sneaking in drinks. And if they're caught, they should be arrested. So I don't think we're applying any different standard here.
If we find them, they're going to jail, so.
Right, and that's the message that needs to be sent. So I'm just saying from my perspective, I think this isn't a difficult decision. It's a restaurant with an outdoor area, and that we can apply the same logic we're applying to any of the other ones that are in town that we have. We have several. I eat at them occasionally. We have other venues here that are other businesses here that have alcohol licenses. And like Councilor Stritchett brought up, they can just as easily walk out of one of those at 1 a.m. and walk wherever they want to downtown if they're not caught. And they shouldn't do that, and they should be arrested if they do. So I don't think we're applying anything different here. I think we can make this function. We can make this work. We have a footprint that we can condense if we need to. So I think we have control measures in place, and we have professionals that are dealing with this. And I think this is a good thing for Prattville. Myself, that's my personal opinion. And if my constituents don't agree with me, then they can reach out to me and let me know. But at this time, everybody I've talked to it's been a positive, not a negative.
I answer y'all's questions to the best of my ability.
Yes, sir.
Y'all through with me?
And again, I'm not against it. I respect this man, and I just wanted to
have
hear.
concerns.
Yeah, and I just wanted to hear from you,
but
out of respect
as
for
long
you.
as everything's done in accordance to what we've done with everybody else, I think, it's a big area that they'll be able to, but if they mess up, they'll pay for it. Again, I'm harping on until I'm relieved of chief. So, could be, so, but y'all through with me? Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Thompson.
If I could, just two little points of interest here, and you touched base a little bit on it about being able to construct the area, because since this is city property, and there does seem to be that something is not working like it should, the ABC licensing cannot be adjusted by the city once it's approved, unless it comes back properly before y'all. But the city, through the agreement, can shrink the area. If y'all decided to expand it, you could do that, but it would take more steps. But the other one that, and I mentioned a little bit earlier, we have a lot of security cameras around, have tag readers around, and so we will be monitoring it on site and through electronic means as well. So, thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
And I guess and for the record, I would like to just say, ask if we could possibly constrict the area, Amy. If we could possibly constrict the area some.
That's later.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I know, but that's something that I hope they're open to, that's all.
The restaurant tenant is open to your recommendations. They will be leasing city property, so they will follow your recommendation.
Any other discussion? Okay. Just for the record, I would state that I will support with strict adherence to this area with no entrance and exit back and forth between the venue. In my personal opinion, any entrance into this area should be through the restaurant and not from outside. That makes it really difficult on them to determine who's coming in and out. I mean, there are a lot of different restaurants with outdoor seating that you have to go in the restaurant, and if you want to be seated outside, you request to be seated outside. And then when you finish, you pay and you leave. And I will go on the record and say that I am not for an entertainment district. I know that's not what we're talking about now, but if it comes up, then I'm on record with that. Any other discussion? All in favor of this resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. And this resolution passes unanimously. This concludes our regular agenda. The council welcomes any comments from persons present. We have anyone who wishes to speak, line up in the center aisle. You'll be called up to print your name and address, and then you'll have up to 5 minutes to address the council.
I'm going to ask a simple question. What's the restaurant? What's the restaurant that's coming in? Why is there a non-disclosure agreement and we don't know what the restaurant is? As I said, from my research, WCB Auburn, Waldo's Chicken and Beer. You know, a restaurant and a Waldo's Chicken and Beer is a different thing. You know, and I wouldn't have minded a nice restaurant. In fact, I have the floor plan that they presented at the HPC. You know what it says for the outside seating? 75. 75 for the outside seating, 100 inside. And you're talking like, oh, it's just a restaurant and it's just gonna, you know, it's just that people will have a drink and stuff. Why did we put up all those televisions? Again, Waldo's is basically a sports bar. And you know it is. And I just can't believe you feel that something like that is good for downtown Prattville. It's going to change the whole feeling of it. And you can talk about, you can say, oh, it's going to be really monitored and stuff like that. You know how that goes, especially when we get games or stuff like that. And I'm so disappointed in you. I just can't believe that you feel, and again, I think there's a lot of money that's changing hands or whatever, but what is the restaurant that's going in there? Why can't citizens know that? What's the secrecy about it? If you're so willing to agree and have it, then say the name. You know, say the name. Is it Waldo's Chicken and Beer, or is it something else?
Do you understand what an NDA is, do you? Do you not?
Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
Do you understand why we have to sign an NDA, or actually what one is?
No, I don't, not for
Would
a
you like
restaurant. I can understand
Amy
the
to come up and
business,
explain
but
to you
why
how
for
it
a
works?
restaurant? Why for a restaurant? Any restaurant could
indeed?
come in there. But, you know, I mean, really and truly.
And this
they've already
money's
got it.
changing hands. Do you have proof of that before you come up with these allegations of wrongdoing? Do you
I
have
beg your
any
pardon?
the money changing hands that you
No,
just
I'm just,
I mean, do
that's
you
my
have?
feeling.
Oh, that's your feeling, or is that
That's
your
my
fact?
feeling.
That's your feeling.
That's exactly.
your feeling's wrong.
Yes, exactly. I think some local people
Right.
are also involved
Well, I
with
suggest
this.
you set a meeting with our economic development person and let them explain to you, A, what an NDA actually means and why you have to sign them.
But why do
Apparently,
we have
you're
to do an
confused.
NDA for a restaurant? How many
Are
other
you listening?
restaurants did we do an NDA for? How many other restaurants did we do an NDA for?
I don't know. We'll have to look
Huh?
back now, won't we?
Have we done any? I can understand Hardee's or Owens Corning coming in or Rural King
Yeah.
because they're vying for other places.
Okay.
But I don't, so why can't we know what the name of that restaurant is?
Call, make an appointment.
No, it should be
Or
right
stand-
here.
well, you got a
In
minute
fact,
43.
the name,
Have at it.
The HPC didn't even approve the signage because they didn't give them anything with signage. I don't understand the secrecy. If you're all for this, you should be able to say, it is this. Is it not Waldo's Chicken and Beer?
I'm just going to chime in and say, I signed an NDA. So
But why did you
it
sign
doesn't
an
matter
NDA?
why. I'm not
Why
saying
did you
anything when
sign
I
a
sign an NDA. I'm not saying anything. I'll either confirm or deny anything that you say when I've signed an NDA, because that's the intent of an NDA. Whether or not it needed to be is not a point for me at this
No,
point,
yes, it
because I've
is.
signed an NDA.
Why for a restaurant? Why for a restaurant? And this is a city building. This is our building, so we should know it. Am I mistaken? It's a city-owned building.
My question
so
is, my question for you is,
see, nobody can answer
I'm
that.
asking you a question around this,
Yeah.
is, would it matter to you if you knew the name of the business?
I'm
What would it
sorry,
matter
what?
what your type of restaurant it was? Does that matter in the scheme of things?
Yes, it does. I told you.
Order in the gallery.
Yeah.
Nobody has an
when are
opportunity
we
to
gonna
talk,
know
because
what
all we
kind of
can hear is
restaurant
what
it
y'all are
is?
saying.
When are we going to know what kind of restaurant it is? In a city's building, which means us. I find this very hinky is the word I use.
Yes, Amy, would you like to?
Before this goes any further and there's any money expended, there will be a binding lease and the restaurant will be revealed. The reason an NDA was signed is it's an investor franchise contract that requires all communities that they are competing and vying for to sign those. That is why that's done. And again, before any money is expended, anything is done, it will be revealed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Nix.
Jackie Nix, 706 Running Brook Circle. I want to do some clarifications to my earlier comments. I did send out this information last week, emailed to the mayor and to city council. I also included the P&L statements that came from the library director, that was as a result of my FOIA request. And I had stated that I wanted you to have that in case I had some typing errors. So those are not my numbers. Those are the numbers from the library. Regarding the speculation on why there are excesses, first of all, the library is a separate entity, so by your own admission, we don't know, we can't, it's pure speculation of what they've done and why they've done it, because they aren't here to speak for themselves. So anything that was stated before is pure speculation, because we need to have that information from the library board as to why they did what they did. But I can tell you, from speaking to other public libraries, is that it is highly unusual to have a budget excess. They are designed to operate on a zero net budget. They're supposed to be money in equals money out. And also, from my observations from their reports, there is, in fiscal year 25, there is a line item for interest income sweep, which is interest coming in the budget from the previous year. So if this is money that is going towards the building fund, wouldn't you keep all the interest and have it compound interest to grow? Why would you pull interest from that money into the budget for the next year? So I ask that you ask these hard questions to the library board, because they are the only ones that truly have the answers. And all due respect, Mr. Mayor, you're not a part of that separate entity, and that's pure speculation. So they are the only ones that can truly answer these questions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, how are y'all?
All right.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, because I had an accident happen to me on Doster Road. Right there coming down them hills, you got deer that run all the way
All
across the
right,
road.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but can you please say, I know we see you at the meetings, can you please say your name and address?
Shane Caston,
Thanks,
410
Shane.
Homework Drive. My apologies, thank you. Anyway, I was coming home the other night on Doster Road. I've already fixed my vehicle. Well, I'm at fixing it. Deer come running down the hill, hit me in the right front quarter panel. Busted my windshield had a spot about yay big. I've already replaced it, but y'all might want to get some signs up that deer do run down that road or run across that road. It's on the bottom of Doster Road all the way to the top. They're jumping the fence on the top side of Doster Road. I've had to blow the horn at them to get them out of the road, but I got hit the other night pretty dadgum good. It knocked me for a loop for a minute. So y'all might want to get some signs up that it's a deer crossing right there. And we're going back to the whole Water Street paving job and New Moon. When is that going to get fixed? I understand y'all said it's on a list, but when is that going to get fixed? That is a highly trafficked area going to the stadium. New Moon Drive has got a divot in it now too. When's that all going to get fixed? I'm not up here to fuss. I'm not up here to argue. I'm just asking simple questions. Because like I said, during game weeks, it's a highly trafficked area. People park there along that road. I'd hate for somebody to get their vehicle hurt or tore up because of that divot right there, and it's pretty bad. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
I'm Chad Peacock. I've already signed and then, all right. I want to go back to ordinance 2. Is to rezone the property located inside corporate limits at 682 Covered Bridge Parkway from R5 to O1. This already went through the planning commission. This was okay through the planning commission going to an O1 because the lot next to it is an O1. I'm not seeing the issue here in stopping somebody who wants to build a business because this lot is not an O1. If they want to purchase both lots for more parking, fine, they can do that. If they want a small office, fine. But we can't sit here and don't get me wrong, I'm not good with words. Speculate what traffic might be. We don't know. We don't know how big the office is going to be. We don't know how small it's going to be. There's an option for an O1 sitting right beside my lot. That's why I want to go to O1. I just wanted to bring that up.
I'm also, this is my husband, we own this property jointly. In that same section of Covered Bridge Road, there is a veterinarian's office, a pediatrician's office, and I believe a kidney care center adjacent to those lots, just 2 down. The one immediately next to us, also no one is currently for sale, which is adjacent to a pediatrician's office. In terms of the size of the lot, I'm not sure we understand how what goes there could impact traffic any more than a pediatrician's group or any other doctor's office. So around that point, we would like some clarification, please.
So what do you plan to put there?
We are not putting anything there. The option is we cannot build a house. There are not covenants that support residential construction in place on that side of the street. So we can't build a house and we can't rezone. The property immediately next to us is already O1. So what is the best use other than the possibility of somebody combining those 2 lots?
I mean, I really can't answer that for you.
And approval for what might go there, in the city's process, would they not have to go through site approval, plan approval, minimum number of parking spaces, et cetera? What does what goes there affect zoning?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
I don't mind answering the questions you have, and I stated earlier tonight about why I made my decision on this. I looked this over many times. I've been out to that area several times, and there are offices in that area, I do agree, but that particular few sets of tracts of land along that roadway there have a large water spot, retention pond or water area behind them, and I don't think there's enough depth in that lot, that footprint, to put what you would want. And the thing is, when you zone something for office, that can be many different things that can come in there. Some can be low, like a lawyer's office may have a few people coming in and out of there during the day, but another office or another type of facility could have a lot more traffic coming in there. And I don't think there's adequate room in there to say that anything could come in there, which would be what would happen if we approved that. So in that specific case, so I'm trying to look at the entirety of the situation, the neighborhood, the adjoining street, the traffic flow, this particular lot, and a couple of the other lots along that, I don't think should be rezoned for office. I'm not sure why they're not able to be used for residential. That's what they're zoned for. I'm not sure what your covenants and restrictions issues that you have there are. But if you're asking me if that specific lot and that specific area would be okay for me to zone for office, I would say no. And it's not the only one. I've recently had the same opinion with another plot that was zoned for office right off Main Street, because I don't think it's adequate or safe, because there's no center turning lane or turning lane to go off of Main Street into an office area. I think residential is what it needs to be. So that's my logic on why I disagree with it, and that was what I brought up to my fellow council members for this specific lot on that specific street. Another part of the city, my opinion would be different. There's not a one-size-fits-all. So that's why I made my decision on it.
But the lot immediately adjacent is.
I understand the lot next to it is an O1. It doesn't have a water retention pond behind it.
does.
Not the same size that those lots that you're talking about do.
Well,
That's
but
why I made my decision on it.
You're taking the option for somebody to purchase both lots,
I understand.
and that smaller lot could be used for parking, just like the pediatrician's office or anything else. There is more than one option, so what could go there just doesn't make any sense.
As I'm looking at the single lot that's looked at for zoning, I'm not talking about whether somebody buys the lot next to it or may not, or what may happen. I'm looking at if it's zoned for O and an office comes in there for that single plot of land, I don't think it's reasonable. So I voted against it.
What if they build up and not out?
That's gonna impede people being on the street for traffic to go in and go up. That's my other side of this, is you're impeding that specific road that leads into that neighborhood back there is gonna have spillover traffic on it if you do anything up or anything else. I do not like that for an office space, and I have voted against it, and those are my reasons.
Okay, but there are two apartment complexes, and you're talking about spillover traffic, and literally apartment complexes bookend. I'm sorry, is time an issue here? We've been
Yes,
out of
ma'am.
time but you've got apartment complexes that bookend that street. That is the bulk of it.
And that's what factored into my decision about the traffic flow. But that's my opinion. And I'm not, and then there's no malice toward you, or no malice toward offices or office space in the city. But as a city councilman, as I look this over, that's my decision on that specific lot.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would wish to address the council? Just don't forget to sign in and state your name and address for the council.
Okay, so, hey, my name is Candy Blackman. I just wanted to say good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm going to read something really quickly. You may think that it doesn't apply, but it certainly does apply here. It's going to be talking about conflict of interest, lack of impartiality, unprofessional conduct, and use of profanity, disregard for court orders, pattern conduct across multiple cases, and failure to maintain professional boundaries, and normalization, minimization of potential child harm. I have others that are in with me. They're sitting behind me here. I'm here to speak for the public record calmly, clearly, and truthfully. I'm not a resident of the city. I'm here because a family court case was held in this county. Decisions made within this system profoundly affected my child and my family. For years, I fought in the Watauga County Family Court for the right to parent my own son. On August 6, 2025, I lost my case. I want to be clear about who I am as a parent. I am never done drugs. I'm not abusive. I have no criminal history. I provide a loving, stable, smoke-free home. I was my son's primary caregiver and his secure parent. I'm not standing here because I lost a case. I'm standing here because I lost faith in a system meant to protect children and preserve healthy parent-child relationships. Before my case begun, my son's father made a $20,000 donation to Judge Joy Booth judicial campaign. After months,
Ma'am.
It does apply. It does apply.
Okay, but we're here for pertinent information that does apply.
Yeah,
But
it does apply.
I understand, but
Because someone on your city council board was involved in my child with Judge Booth. So it does apply.
Okay, but your comments to persons in particular, can you just give us the facts?
Okay, that is the fact. What fact do you want? There's someone on your city board, Thea Langley, who was working with Judge Booth to take my son. And in her counseling,
Yep, ma'am.
yes,
Okay, but I'm just asking you, what particularly pertinent city business does this relate to?
it relates to she's sitting on this board, and she, behind the scenes, is not acting in a way that that's impartial. She does not have professional conduct. She uses profanity. So it does apply because she's now representing the community in the city. And this is someone who is taking children behind the scenes. And I'm not the only one here. There's people
No,
with me.
I'm not disagreeing with you there. I'm just saying that you're talking about something that happens in a professional life, and it was handled in the county court system, I think.
Okay, I've heard discussions in here about deer. I've heard discussions in here about all kinds of things. So if you don't want to hear about somebody that's sitting on your city council board and what they're doing to the people, then that's wrong. Okay, this is my child and my personal life. Okay, and my son cries every time he has to go to his father because it's something somebody on your council did. And that is not right. And if you would like proof, we got the proof. I don't stand here alone. You may think I'm alone. I'm not alone. There's people right here with me.
I understand that. We can't have a personal attack.
Okay, it's what we feel. You can't have a personal attack. There's a personal attack in our lives. Our children are removed from us, from someone sitting on your board with profanity, telling me in a session, I don't give a fuck. Do you think
Ma'am.
that's professional?
Please.
This is on your board. So that's why I'm here today.
If I may interject for real quick, I know we have a First Amendment, but, you know, a lot. I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to clearly
My-
say,
my-
this is a conflict of
Michael,
interest.
my thoughts on this is about First Amendment. We sat here all summer, those of us who are already up here, and we were accused of making decisions racially biased. We were cussed at. We were pointed at. Someone got in the mayor's face. We had a candidate look at me in my face and tell me I was done, and brought a poster. So we took abuse from the citizens unfactually all summer long during the campaign. And those people are allowed to speak their piece. And as a First Amendment, I don't see how that's any different from someone cussing me or someone accusing me of kicking a elderly couple out onto the street out of a building that they didn't even live in. I was accused of that. And that was all allowed to happen. So I'm just trying to wonder how this is any different. That's all I have.
I just want to ask this question. I mean, as a city council, this isn't in our realm of authority. I mean, if there's something that needs to be brought up, our actions here don't have anything to do with that. All of us have been elected, and if there's an
That's the
issue,
problem.
there's an issue that you have with an elected official, the proper channels, and I would defer to the attorney at this point as far as what needs to play out in this area that we have authority over. There's nothing I can do. I can't vote any one of these members off the council. The mayor can't do that. There's nothing that we can do. If you have an issue that you need to bring awareness to, which it sounds like you do, then you need to bring it to the appropriate channels, and that's not us. That's not us. We can't do anything about what you're talking about. As far as I know, unless the attorney tells me there's something differently, you come up here and accuse any of us of anything, there's nothing we can do about
It's not just
that.
accusations. We have proof to
I can't dispute that because I'm not a judge. This isn't a court. This is a city council business meeting.
And
we
you have
can't
listened to
do-
about deer and everything else, but you can't
And
listen to
the
about my
deer
son.
signs are things that the city council can put signs up for, but we can't do anything else in this forum.
Who
We
can
don't
put
have
city-
authority.
Who can put those signs up? She can. She can.
She can't, I can't either, but the city engineer
But y'all
can put
have
them
it
up.
done. You're talking about the one that's sitting right there, who goes
So
and
again, I
protects
defer to
children.
the city attorney over what authority do we have
Oh, I
to hear
definitely
this
would love to
case.
see a city attorney, any attorney.
Council President, you do have the authority to move for a motion for adjournment? I mean, this is up to your discretion as far as, I would say public comment, First Amendment does apply. We do have our say, of course.
We don't stop, we'll only grow.
The council has
and-
set rules, of course, establishing
And Mr.
limits for that.
And I'm not saying, Mr. President, they can't have their say. I'm just saying there's no action that this council can take in your issue. And if you have an issue, you need to take it to the appropriate realm. That's not here. I'm not saying I don't,
Do you have children?
that's irrelevant. I'm just
It's
saying,
not.
well, I do, but it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant, my children. I'm not saying I don't feel that you have an issue. I'm just saying that this body can't deal with your issue. That's all I'm saying. I don't want you to think that I don't hear that you have an issue, because I do. I'm just saying there's nothing we can do about this, and I don't want you to continue to upset yourself when there's nothing we can do. If you have a problem with deer, we can address that, but we can't address this issue is all I'm saying.
He's trying to de-escalate a situation and get me out of here from live. That's what he's doing.
Yes, sir, Mr. White.
And I apologize for earlier. I did write it down. I didn't acknowledge who I was, and I didn't state my address. So Reverend Dr. L. White, 2nd, 621 West 4th Street. Okay, going back to, now that y'all looking at that, I just asked that y'all relook at Adrian. When Mr. Edwards came over here, if we're gonna do that for one, we gotta do it for all. So I just asked y'all to relook it and relook at his plan. And if the mayor said he's gonna work with him, hopefully that ain't lip service, that's truthfully. And he works with him and work with him at the same level and get approval for what he was trying to do.
I agree, El, and I've talked to, Mr. Edwards a couple of times, and, yeah, we want to work with him within the parameters, and he has put up he put up his fence. He complied with what we asked him to do. He had talked about one time about putting a structure on the roof of his building, which I'm offered that too, overlooking the creek. So, I'm not going to pinpoint, one person. Like I said, you can go to Craft House, you can go to any places downtown, places on the east side of town, midtown.
Well, I'm not pinpointing, it's just that I was here and he did try that and it was shut down. And I'm just saying, now that we looking at that, we can relook that.
Yeah,
Be
yeah.
fair and open.
Yeah, last time I talked to Derry, he was still interested in doing some things, so I'm good with it, sure.
Second thing is, we talk about, the executive having support from the city council, but yet the name's still over there on that venue. We talked about that. Y'all made the agreements, but the name's still on that venue over there. And then lastly, and I know this is gonna come off kind of funny, but you know, when we talking about moratoriums to stop this and that, well, can we also put coffee shops and chicken restaurants and on that moratorium too, since we put in storage and convenience store? Cause it seems like that's all we got here in Prattville. And can we start being innovative and come up with new creative ideas to bring more economic commerce here versus chicken, coffee? I mean, honestly, all the chicken coffee places, we can make a chicken and coffee shop and kill all the separate chicken and coffee shops.
I'd love an authentic Italian restaurant somewhere in this town, so I'm with you on that.
They have chicken parm.
Leah, can you cook Italian?
And also a convenience store, all at the same time. But thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll move into closing comments. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir, just want to follow up some of the conversations here, and I've texted you a little information about Northington Road and the striping and so forth. So I think we all realize that since the pandemic, it's really hard to get certain workforces out there, but thank goodness our city engineer responded, and I passed that along to you. So
I will. Thank you.
okay. That's all of my comments tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Newman?
I was just going to say the training facility opening, I thought that was a great event. I attended that, and I'm glad that we have a training facility that's going to be able to train our fire and safety professionals. There were some promotions that were done as well in the fire department. It was nice to see our fire department moving its leadership forward and recognizing those individuals. There is some bad weather coming in this weekend. I think everybody needs to make sure that they've got a plan for that. There may be some cold weather, and make sure you've got, you know, a backup plan or something like that if it gets cold or your power goes out. To speak briefly about the facility across the street as far as damage to it or any behavior that's inappropriate. There is technology over there. I would advise people to be very careful about what they're doing over there. If they want to go tear up bathrooms or whatever it is that they're having a problem with, because there is enough technology in this downtown area for us to figure out who you are at some point. I would highly advise any youth or young adults or old adults or to do any damage to city property. That'd probably be a bad decision. The deer crossing issue, I would just like to say, is District 1, which is the entire west side of Prattville, County Road 29, Rolling Hills, Indian Hills, Northington Road. I drive up Gin Chop Hill to go home at night. I got to dodge deer. It's an issue we have in Prattville, and I recognize and acknowledge that. And we can get some signs up, and I'd like to see a little better lighting in some cases. But be careful. This time of the year, there's going to be deer on the road. Drive accordingly. Just to speak to, I guess, something that's stuck in my craw, and I don't mean this in any specific way, but as far as the economic development issue across the street, you know, I ran a campaign where I didn't take a dime from anybody. I don't want anything to do with anybody's money. I don't need anybody's money. I'm not taking anybody's money from anybody on any economic development stuff, so don't even offer. No one. Don't offer. As far as anybody that I know is taking money, I don't know of anybody associated with any project that's taken any money. So I don't, it's easy to levy an accusation, and I'm not making it personal. I'm just saying that's not what we're up here doing, or at least not what I'm up here doing, and I don't know of any of it. So I wanted to make sure that that was on the record. That's all I have.
Councilor Jackson?
Yeah, I guess I'll say something. I know yesterday, over the weekend, we definitely recognized Dr. Martin Luther King. And one of the things I would like to challenge us all, you know, everybody posts the quotes and say what a great man he was and whatever. But I just challenge everyone to try to live out those things and not just let it be words that we say a couple times out of the year for a 3 or 4 day stretch where we recognize, you know, and I look at it now, how people deem him a hero, but while he was alive and fighting for his community and fighting for the rights of people, he was deemed evil. He was deemed public enemy #1. A lot of things he was deemed, and now that he's gone, everybody treats him as if he's the next thing to Jesus. But I just hope that we take some of those quotes and the lifestyle and the attitude and the courage that he had to stand up and fight for all people. It's not a black thing, white thing, and look at what's going on across the world and across the country. But one of the things we need to learn, especially now, is to love on each other and do what's right. At this stage and phase in life, I don't understand what the hard thing is about just doing what's right by people, for people. I just think it's so simple. I don't think it's complicated, I don't get it. It baffles me, but that's the one thing I want to say. The public safety ribbon cutting was awesome. I appreciate what Chief Thompson and Chief Bingham, all those guys are doing. I have much respect for them and what they have done for our community and what they're going to continue to do for our community. So kudos, and like I said, I have much respect for them. Mayor, you mentioned the warming station, and I think that's going to be a great idea, if we can get some of that going, because we do have people that are probably suffering and meeting some challenges, staying warm. So I think that's going to be beneficial. We also mentioned the shelters, maybe a storm shelter here and there. That was something I even know that I campaigned on back in the summer, and I think I even mentioned it back, I don't know, whenever Ernie Baggett was the EMA. I would like to see more storm shelters in place, especially throughout our community with a number of people that live in manufactured homes around, because I have a lot of areas in my district where we have people that are in manufactured homes, and I don't know about y'all, but if those tornado sirens go off, they freak me out. So I can't imagine living in a manufactured home. So I think that's something that I would love to see us do as a community. It's fine. I think was the intermediate school now, not intermediate, kindergarten school. I think we worked with them last year. Kindergarten school, yeah, the new kindergarten school. I think we had residents go there, but I think we need to look into having those, maybe a few spread out throughout the community for people. And then, so that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilor Merrick?
Well, I guess Councilman Newman and Councilman Jackson took up all my time, so just kidding. I'm just kidding. No singing tonight, but no, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of y'all that are on this panel and everything that you do and continue to do. Mr. Mayor and Ms. John Lee and everybody, let me put my glasses on. Mr. White and everyone that spoke that comes here, thank you as always. I do want to just piggyback quickly about the training facility for the ribbon cutting, and thank you, Chief Thompson, and as well as Chief Bingham. Got a chance to, we went to the facility where you actually had to, Marcus was doing a little target practice, and the way that man was shooting that pew-pew, I definitely want you by my side anytime. I'd love to have you. Dano, not so much. No, Dio was pretty good too, except he let the guy reach back in the car, and it was his wallet that he pulled out. But it's if you have an opportunity to go see if you can get a tour, it's a fantastic facility, and it's going to do great things not only for our employees but for others across the state. And I think I do recall, correct me if I'm wrong, that we've actually throughout the U.S. we've had some folks coming in from out of state. So fantastic thing. I want to give a quick shout out to Paxton. our engineer, that I got an email from one of our, my constituents on Mossy Oak Ridge. We had a little situation where they repaired part of the street out there, and we've been working on that for a little bit. So I just wanted a quick thank you. Shout out to Rich Emanuel, who lives on 503 Mossy Oak, that threw a kind word to our street committee and street division. And I know that I'm on the committee that you're chairing, and look forward to working with you, because I have some things I'd like to get worked on more, Paxton. Thank you very much. Y'all be safe, stay warm, and get water, extra supplies, flashlights, candles, and please, well, I know, but I always want to look. It's like when I travel. If I go on a vacation, I may be gone for 3 days. I pack for 10. So, but anyway, please be safe, and thank you always for being here, and be safe going home tonight.
Councilor Stritchick. Councilor Langley.
Yes, I just want to say thank you guys for being here. You guys are the ones who hung in there, and I don't know, Paula, is this a record tonight? Not the kind of record that Paula wants us to set, but thank you to all of you. I appreciate you, and yeah, stay warm.
Thank you. Our next regularly scheduled council meeting is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Stritch. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Langley. All in favor say yes. Yes. We are adjourned.